The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, two famous faces navigating the dusty trails of Runyon Canyon, and just like that, a single touch of the chin had the internet spiraling. Hollywood had a new obsession. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame. Today, we are taking you on a deep dive into the headline that, honestly, absolutely broke the internet this week. I mean, Karamo Brown and Jussie Smollett sparking romance buzz.
Yeah, and we're unpacking a massive stack of celebrity news sources for you today. And we're talking reports from TMZ, Us Weekly, Baller Alert.
Heavy hitters.
Exactly, the heavy hitters. But we're doing something entirely unique for you today. We are just going to sit here and read you the tabloids. We're actually going to analyze this Hollywood romance through the lens of actual cutting-edge psychological research.
Which I'm so excited for.
It's so fascinating. Specifically, we're pulling from data presented at the 2026 Midwestern Psychological Association's 98th annual meeting. We're looking at the psychology of scandals, how digital spaces form moral judgments, and the heavy cognitive toll of secret-keeping, really all to understand exactly why this specific couple has the entire public talking.
Let's start with the visual that set this whole thing off, because the way this relationship was revealed is basically a masterclass in what you might call a Hollywood soft launch.
Right.
Except, it was played out in the brightest daylight imaginable. According to those reports from TMZ and Us Weekly, Jussie Smollett and Queer Eye's Karamo Brown were spotted on what can only be described as an all-day, highly affectionate date in Los Angeles.
And I mean, this wasn't just them grabbing a quick, discreet coffee at a drive-thru somewhere.
No, definitely not.
The sheer scale and sort of the itinerary of this outing is what really caught the media's attention.
Exactly. It was a whole production. They started out having lunch with Karamo's mom.
Which is huge.
Right. You don't just bring anyone to lunch with your mom. And then they spent the afternoon running errands around town together. But the grand finale of this date, a hike at Runyon Canyon.
Oh, man.
Now, for anyone who hasn't been to L.A., you need to understand that Runyon Canyon isn't a secluded nature trail where you go to get away from it all. It is essentially an outdoor runway.
It really is. It's where influencers go to be seen.
Exactly. And right there on the trail, photographers caught Jussie affectionately cupping Karamo's chin.
Wow.
I know, it's a deeply intimate, very specific gesture. And the second that photo hit the internet, I mean, the timeline just went up in flames.
What's truly fascinating, though, is how perfectly that physical public display aligns with what Karamo was saying behind a microphone right around the same time.
Oh, on the podcast.
Yes. During this exact window,
Yeah.
Karamo made an appearance on Carlos King's podcast, Reality with the King.
Right.
He didn't, drop Jussie's name directly during the interview, but he left a trail of breadcrumbs that were frankly impossible for the public to ignore.
Totally.
He confirmed, quote, "I am dating a celebrity." But more importantly, he insisted that they aren't hiding the relationship at all. He told the host, "We go out, we hold hands everywhere."
And he didn't just stop at "we're dating." Karamo went all the way in.
He really did.
He told Carlos King, "I've met my equal," and then he dropped the absolute heaviest labels you can possibly drop. He called this mystery man, who the paparazzi photos obviously later confirmed to be Jussie, his forever person, and even referred to him as his husband.
It's just wild.
It's wild. He specifically said, "I am 100% sure." That is incredibly definitive, powerful language for a relationship that you haven't even officially announced by name yet.
It is. But that's where the tension lies, because during that exact same podcast appearance, Karamo explicitly stated that he's keeping his partner's name private.
Right.
His reasoning was that, quote, "Once the public gets involved, they want to comment." He was very clear about wanting to protect the love they have from outside opinions and just the inevitable noise of the internet.
Okay. I have to stop and push back on this logic for a second because it feels entirely contradictory to me.
How so?
Well, if you are taking your mom on this date and you're holding hands everywhere you go, and you are literally hiking Runyon Canyon, which, again, is basically a red carpet for paparazzi.
True.
Are you really trying to keep it a secret? It's like putting a giant flashing neon sign over a do not disturb door.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You're practically inviting the public to look. Why go out of your way to be so visibly affectionate in the paparazzi capital of the world, only to go on a podcast and say, I'm keeping his name private so people don't comment? It just feels like a paradox.
It absolutely looks like a paradox on the surface. I completely agree. But there is a profound psychological mechanism driving this exact behavior.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you want to understand why someone would hold hands in front of cameras but refuse to say a name on a podcast, we have to look at how the human brain processes the weight of hidden information.
Okay, lay it on me.
So at the recent MPA conference, researchers J.C. Griffith and Gregory Braswell from Illinois State University, they presented a study titled Secret-Keeping Attitudes and Experiences.
Got it.
They looked specifically at the internal cognitive load of why people keep secrets and how they evaluate the characteristics of those secrets.
So wait, keeping a secret actually has, like, a physical or mental weight to it?
A massive one.
Mm.
The research highlights that keeping a secret, especially one related to your core identity or a deeply personal, intimate experience, it carries a significant cognitive burden.
Wow.
It literally taxes your working memory. When you are hiding something massive, a part of your brain is constantly running in the background, just monitoring your environment, filtering your words, and making sure you don't slip up. It is exhausting.
Yeah.
So what Karamo is doing isn't a contradiction. It's actually a very delicate psychological balancing act.
Oh, I see. So it's almost like he's trying to let just enough steam out of the kettle so it doesn't explode, but he doesn't want to take the lid completely off and get burned.
Precisely. That's a great way to put it. He is trying to alleviate that crushing cognitive burden of keeping a massive secret, which explains the public handholding and the gushing podcast confessions. His brain needs the relief of just being open and authentic in the physical world.
Right.
But simultaneously, he is trying to protect his emotional safety from the harsh, incoming scrutiny of the digital world by not officially confirming the name. By withholding the official confirmation, he retains a small barrier of control. He wants the psychological freedom of living his life without the trauma of the internet's judgment.
That makes total sense when you break it down like that. It's basically a survival strategy for the modern digital age. He's claiming the emotional high ground of the relationship, declaring how healthy and serious it is before the internet even have a chance to tear it down.
Exactly.
If you're loving these Hollywood twists and the psychology behind them, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
And you mentioned the internet tearing it down, which is the crucial next piece of this puzzle. To truly understand why Karamo feels the need for that protective barrier and why the public reaction to this pairing is so intensely polarized, we have to examine the heavy baggage both of these men just brought to the airport.
And trust me, that's where things get really intense. Because neither of these guys is walking into this new romance with a clean slate.
No, not at all.
They are both navigating some of the most highly publicized, emotionally exhausting fallout from their recent pasts. We are talking about two stars rebounding from broken engagements, incredibly complex legal battles, and, accusations of reality TV toxicity.
Let's lay out the timeline because the chronological context is vital here. Let's look at Jussie first.
Okay.
He just ended his engagement to actor Jabari Red incredibly recently. We're talking May or June of 2026.
Which is basically yesterday.
Exactly. They had just gotten engaged in June of 2025, and they even worked together on the 2024 film The Lost Holiday. So romantically, this is a very fresh breakup.
And that's just his romantic history. I mean, the legal and public relations storm he has been enduring is on a whole other level.
Right. To objectively lay out the facts of his legal situation, in November 2024, the Illinois Supreme Court overturned Jussie's conviction regarding the highly publicized 2019 incident in Chicago.
Okay.
The court ruled that a second prosecution against him violated due process.
So the highest court in the state overturned the conviction, but in the court of public opinion, the trial never really ended, did it?
No, the digital conversation never stopped. And following that, in 2025, Jussie settled a civil lawsuit with the city of Chicago. He agreed to donate $50,000 to the Building Better Future Center for the Arts in Chicago.
Right.
And throughout this entire multi-year ordeal, he has consistently maintained his absolute innocence, stating that the civil settlement was not an admission of guilt. He's now trying to move forward and focus heavily on his music career. But, the media scrutiny he has faced over the last several years is something very few people could ever comprehend.
It's an unimaginable level of public pressure. And then on the other side of this relationship, you have Karamo, who has had an incredibly turbulent year himself.
Yes.
Romantically, Karamo split from his partner, photographer Carlos Medel, in February 2025, And prior to that, he ended an engagement to Ian Jordan back in 2020. So he brings his own history of serious long-term relationships dissolving while the public watches.
Right, exactly.
But the thing that really sent shockwaves through his fan base recently was the shockingly messy end to Queer Eye.
Yes, that was huge. Season 10, which was set in Washington, D.C., was announced as the final season of the show. And behind the scenes, it did not end with the sort of group hugs and tears of joy that the show is famous for.
Not even close. Like, Karamo actually skipped the press tours for the final season. Think about that for a second. This is the culture guy, the empathetic heart of the Fab Five, flat out refusing to do press.
Which says a lot.
It says everything. And he didn't stay quiet about why. He came out and claimed he felt, quote, mentally and emotionally abused for years due to toxic cast behavior on set. He was very explicit, saying that certain behavior simply did not fly in a professional environment and it severely negatively impacted his mental health.
Now, the production companies involved disputed the idea that his concerns were ignored. But regardless of the back and forth, the damage to the show's pristine, wholesome image was already done.
Yeah. And when you look at all of this laid out together, I mean, my immediate reaction is just empathy. These two men have been dragged through the absolute media ringer. They both desperately need a safe space away from the noise of the internet.
Absolutely.
When Karamo says on that podcast that he feels 100% sure and implies a sense of deep security with Jussie, you can completely understand why finding a safe harbor is so vital to him right now.
But that safe harbor is exactly what the internet refuses to grant them. And this raises a fascinating question about how the public processes celebrity controversies.
Oh, I'm ready.
Why does the internet refuse to let them move on? To answer that, we look at our second piece of research from the MPA conference.
Okay.
Sidney Williams from Ohio State University presented an incredible study on, quote, how expectations shape perceived scandal severity. The research proposes a dual mechanism model that perfectly explains why the public is reacting to Jussie and Karamo with such intensity.
Okay, I love a good psychological model. Explain how this dual mechanism actually works in our brains when we, read the news.
So the research shows that when a scandal is completely unexpected, meaning it wildly contradicts what we thought we knew about a person, it produces a massive cognitive shock.
Like a glitch in our brain.
Exactly. Our brains don't like when our established patterns are broken. This intense feeling of shock translates directly into more severe moral judgments. We judge the person much harsher because they disoriented us. However, here is the second part of the mechanism. Because the event is so unexpected, it also leads to decreased belief in the allegations. People struggle to reconcile the new information with the old image, creating this intense tug-of-war in the public consciousness.
Oh, wow. So if my favorite squeaky clean pop star gets arrested, I'm going to judge them way harsher than a rock star who I already expect to act out.
Yes.
Because the pop star broke my mental model of them. How does that map onto Jussie and Karamo?
Think about the deeply ingrained public expectations for both of these men before their respective controversies. Karamo was literally the professional empathy expert on Queer Eye.
True.
The public expectation, the schema we built for him, was that the Fab Five were these harmonious best friends spreading pure joy and healing. When Karamo revealed that the set was actually a toxic environment where he felt emotionally abused, it completely shattered the public's expectations. It produced immense shock and severe judgment about the reality of the show and everyone involved.
And Jussie was the beloved, groundbreaking actor on a massive hit show, and his complex, multi-year legal saga completely ruptured the public's expectation of who he was and what his life was like.
Exactly. Both men have fundamentally shattered the specific, positive expectations the public had constructed for them. Because of that cognitive shock, the psychological framework through which the public views them has permanently shifted from admiration to suspicion.
Wow.
And when you take two people who the public already views with heavy suspicion and put them together in a romantic relationship, the reaction is explosive.
These two are clearly seeking refuge in each other from all of that suspicion, but wait till you hear how the internet actually reacted to this union, and the wild foreshadowing from 2018 that proves this connection was years in the making.
Because the history between Jussie and Karamo is a crucial piece of the narrative that almost everyone reacting online seems to be completely ignoring. This is not some random calculated Hollywood hookup that was thrown together by publicists last week.
Right. The thing that is really jumping out at everyone scrolling through the comments is that the internet is instantly labeling this romance a joint grift. They are acting like these two just met at a scandal recovery support group, completely ignoring the fact that they have a documented friendship dating back to at least 2018.
Yeah, if we look at the historical timeline provided by Baller Alert, we see a very public, very emotional display of their bond from 6 years ago.
Right.
In 2018, at the 21st Annual Human Rights Campaign Houston Gala, so the HRC Gala, Jussie was actually the one who presented Karamo with the Human Rights Campaign Visibility Award.
And the speech he gave while presenting that award is honestly chilling to read today.
It is incredibly poignant in retrospect. During that 2018 speech, Jussie called Karamo, "my dear friend, my brother, my comrade." He praised Karamo extensively for always keeping it real and being authentic. But the line that really echoes now is when Jussie looked at the crowd and advised them to, quote, "hold your friends closely and help your friends."
Hold your friends closely. Wow. Talk about foreshadowing. They clearly had a deep brotherly bond long before either of their respective scandals ever hit the news cycle. They've known each other through the highs and the devastating lows. But does the internet care about that nuanced, beautiful history? Absolutely not.
Not at all.
I went down the rabbit hole on Reddit, specifically looking at the Queer Eye subreddit, and the viral public response is unapologetically brutal.
What were the specific narratives you saw taking shape in those digital spaces?
It's savage. I mean, there is zero grace being given. Users are calling this pairing a simulation, with one person saying irony is dead.
Jeez.
Yeah. They are aggressively labeling Jussie and Karam as stunt queens, implying the whole relationship is just a performance. But the comment with massive upvotes that really captures the overarching cynicism was someone who predicted this is just two victims coming together to maximize their joint grift.
Wow.
Another user simply wrote, "they deserve each other," but explicitly noted they meant it in a derogatory way.
That level of instantaneous cynicism is striking. It just strips away all of their humanity.
It really does, and it makes me ask, why is the internet so incredibly ruthless? It feels tribal. You have Karamo out here genuinely talking about finding his forever person, talking about constant laughter and finally feeling totally secure, and the public is treating it like a reality TV villain team up.
Yeah.
It's like the internet has decided these guys play for their rival sports team now, so every time they get fouled, everyone assumes they're faking it. Why can't people just look at two people holding hands on a hike and let them be happy?
You hit the nail on the head when you use the word tribal, and there is actual research that proves exactly what you just described. We can turn to our third and final piece of research from the 2026 MPA conference to explain this exact phenomenon.
Okay, let's hear it.
Jillian Meyer from Indiana University presented a study titled "The Moral Feed: Bias and Moral Judgment in Digital Spaces." This research directly addresses the mechanics of why the internet reacts with such uniform hostility to certain figures.
Okay, break down the mechanics for us. What did the Indiana University study discover about how we judge people online?
So the study found that group membership heavily, almost entirely, dictates our moral evaluations in digital spaces. When we interact online, evolutionary psychology kicks in. We subconsciously categorize everyone we see into our in-group, our tribe, or an out-group, the rivals.
Right.
The mechanism is simple but powerful. We grant immense moral leniency and the benefit of the doubt to our in-group. If they make a mistake, we justify it. But we are incredibly harsh, cynical, and punitive toward anyone we've placed in the out-group.
I see the connection. But wait, Karamo built his entire massive career on being the empathy guy. He was the ultimate in-group figure for millions of people. How does one messy exit from a reality show instantly erase a decade of being beloved and throw him into the out-group?
Because digital spaces don't allow for nuance, they demand clear boundaries. When Karamo shattered expectations by calling out the toxic environment, he threatened the safe schema the in-group had built around the show. He disrupted the peace. Combine that with Jussie's highly publicized legal saga, which dominated the culture wars for years, and the digital public has firmly recategorized both men as controversial out-group figures. They're no longer the universally beloved, uncomplicated stars they once were. Therefore, digital spaces are psychologically primed to view anything they do, including a genuine romantic relationship, with intense cynicism.
So the internet isn't actually looking at the relationship between Jussie and Karamo and judging their connection. They are just judging the outgroup label they've already slapped on both of their foreheads.
Precisely. The bias is completely baked in before they even look at the photo. The digital space is not evaluating a romance, it's evaluating the scandalous personas of the two men involved. Empathy is a resource, and online, we simply do not spend that resource on people deemed part of the outgroup. Their actions will always be interpreted in the most hostile way possible to reinforce the group's boundaries.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next in our deep dives into the psychology of pop culture. It is wild to realize how much our own internal biases and evolutionary tribalism dictate what we type in a Reddit comment section.
It really is.
We sit there thinking we're just reacting objectively to the latest news, but we're actually just blindly playing out these deep-seated psychological group dynamics.
And realizing that is crucial because it creates a very specific, high-pressure environment for this new relationship to exist in. If the psychological research tells us that public expectations are shattered and online moral biases are heavily stacked against them from day one, it leaves us with a fascinating paradox for you to consider.
What's the paradox?
Is being the internet's favorite villain couple going to create an unbearable pressure cooker that ultimately tears them apart? Or paradoxically, could being canceled together actually be the strongest possible foundation for a lasting relationship? Because at the end of the day, they might be the only two people on Earth who truly understand exactly what the other one is going through.
That is a brilliant point to end on. Maybe that shared trauma of being shoved into the out group is exactly what strips away the Hollywood nonsense and makes someone your forever person. From the dusty trails of Runyon Canyon to the ruthless comment sections of Reddit, love in Hollywood is never just black and white. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncovered a story shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.